All right, everyone. So let's call it for what it is. Some of you are either blind and you cannot see it, or some of you just simply don't want to see it. 70,000 thoughts per day go through our head every single day on average per person. Not even one thought of that to some of you is a consideration that we might actually have a market crash in 2025. I will just draw a couple of scenarios on my board. I will touch the scenario of 2008 and 2009 crisis in the United States and how we are heading in the exact same direction, and there is the same pattern going on with us here in Canada. Stay tuned and let's get right into the video. All right, so I get it. It could be fear, 70,000 thoughts. You guys are busy. You guys are rushing with all these things. I understand half of those thoughts, which is around 35,000, are just garbage, nonsense. I get that. But listen, you have to take the other side into consideration, which is softening of the market, recession, a complete collapse. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but in my previous videos, I was trying to give you a scenario. A minus 50% crash in real estate will only bring us to 2013 and 2014. Don't you think that this is significant? From 2013, 14, jumping 10 years, right? It's literally 50% increase in equity. So if we go down 50%, which is a bubble, guys, the bubble is already forming and it already formed. The bubble is inflated. I will talk about that. I'll give you an example from 2008 and 9, and this is probably what you saw on the thumbnail, and that's why you clicked. But check this out, 50% off. It's only 2013 and 2014. I traded back then. I know how it was, right? It was always expensive. Let me get that straight. It is never easy to buy a property. Never. You have to earn it. You have to own it, right? There's certain pride associated with that. But it was much easier. And we're talking, this is detached. Like properties were valued between $500,000 and $600,000 in 2013 and 14 for a detached home in Toronto, right? Fast forward to 2023-4, like we're talking $1.2, $1.3 million, plus all the other expenses and inflation and all that, that it is what it is. The price of living just skyrocketed. So when we're on the same page, do not exclude this, please. Just hear me out for a second. Hear what I have to say. And let's go back to 2001. I know it's a long time ago. So if we take 2001, this is where the steam started in the United States. And we seem to follow the same pattern here in Canada. And I'll get to it in a second. So if you're looking at 2001, that was a beautiful, I would say, steam period from 2001 and 2005. So from the recession in the 90s, a lot of it has been recovered. We went through the 2000 millennium. Everything was fine. The computers still operated and all that stuff. But now we got into 2001 and the steam started to build up. 2005, fantastic. And then right here, all of a sudden, from 2005, because of all the steam that was built up, people are started entering real estate market. Why? Because in this short period of time, in 4 or 5 years, we many noticed the market doing 5 to 10% increases, not a problem. So it was what exactly? It was a safe horse to bet on. That's where it comes down to. All right. So then moving on forward, we get to 2007. So from 2005 and 2007, what happened, right? So everybody that you know and that you don't know, including your cab drivers, the gardeners, started owning multiple properties. They started to be extremely wealthy on paper, right? But along the way, they have accumulated what's called debt. A lot of it, tons of it, right? So when some of these investors, not real investors, but these speculators started actually trading in real estate on masses, right? Steam picked up after 2005. Everybody, right? Like the top 10% just killed the market, right? So what happened right here from 2007 and 2008, in order not to stop the circus go on, they started with the ninja loans and they started all of that. If you're not familiar with ninja loans, it's basically you don't have to provide status of income, or you don't have to back up your mortgage or anything like that. You have a heartbeat, no problem. We'll give it to you, and we'll give you more than you're even asking, so you can just continue with this nonsense, right? Let's keep the market moving. So eventually, in 2008, by data, the entire country went off the cliff in the United States. 30% of the entire country went down. That's point number one. Some of the other markets, like Miami, which is highly valued or highly inflated at the time, Miami, Las Vegas, and all that stuff, went down by 50%. They went even more down, right? So I'll get to the other side of the border to Canada, but just imagine this for a second. And I see it even in my comments on my other videos, and people are commenting, oh, well, but this time is different. How is it different? I mean, okay, if you cannot remember the Great Depression in the early 1900s, I get that, right? You cannot remember the other bubbles. You might not even be able to remember the 90s, but this you can maybe remember or relate to. So now let's get to Canada, which is very interesting. And the one thing that I've seen in the comments on my other videos is like, it will never happen. Real estate will not go down. Well, first of all, somebody commented on the other videos in the comments, well, we are down by 15 to 30% already from the peak. We're down already. So what do you mean it cannot? It is happening in the present time. It is happening. So now when we are looking at the graph, let's say from 2015, because I don't want to go back all the way to 2001, because it followed the same trajectory in Canada as the United States. The only difference, which was huge for Canada, was that we did not have ninja loans. We did not have that. So they were going bunkers and we were being more moderate, right? Looking at the debt ratio and all of that stuff, like you'd still have to have employment and jobs and all of that stuff. But now, let us go to 2015. So in 2015, the market was doing this, right? So up to 2019, same thing. You have a period of 4 years where steam was building up, right? You remember back in the day, right? Like people would buy homes that had money, down payments, that obviously it is a wise thing to invest in real estate, to own something and all of that stuff. I don't want to get into that, but it does make sense. At the end of the day, it's a long-term game. So when this happened, right, in this period of time, then everybody started entering the market. Everybody, the cab drivers, the gardeners, the pool boys, the pool girls, whatever, they started entering the market. And then what happened here, they also started speculating. Everybody wanted to get rich very fast. Now, we obviously get to 2020, and this is where everything gets weird, right? And we know what happened. The market just tanked overnight, and then something magical happened. When it hit the bottom, we know we were in difficult situation, not only in Canada, on a global scale, but now the government stepped in. The government stepped in with the rate cuts, with stimulances, with help, with this, with that, with all kinds of ideas. They were helping the market. One huge indicator is interest rates. They started lowering interest rates so low, and the affordability got back to the table, right? So you would think, hold on a second, just because it's there, people are not going to use it. You're wrong. They will use it. They will go for it. You throw it, they'll fetch it. You understand what I'm saying? So this is what happened in this period of time. Now we get into 2021 and 2022. Obviously, this is where it kind of broke. But in this small period of time, right, everybody started investing heavily. When we hit that maximum reach of death, we hit the maximum reach of exposure, we hit the maximum reach of everything, right, that a lot of people got themselves into, basically. Now we're starting to collapse, right? The interest rates shot up, to over 6% overnight. Literally within a few months, we've seen sharp increases just to stay afloat and all of that stuff. And now it's feathering down. Can you guess why it's feathering down? Well, the reason why it's feathering down is because our economy is in trouble. We're already in a recession for a long time, right? A lot of these speculators, right? Like they went in head first, and we didn't have any ninja mortgage deals or anything like that. But who knows? Maybe we had monkey mortgages. Who knows what kind of monkey business some of these brokers or dealers or whatever private lenders did to some of these speculators and investors. Probably many. And they're probably worse than the ninja deals, right? I don't know the percentage because it would be hard to kind of calculate that. But I know one thing. 81% of recent investors with these pre-construction, flipping, you name it, right? 81% are underwater on average over $600 a month on average, right? The rental is feathering down, right? The leases are going down. The inventory is spiking up. We all know, like, just go on one of these apps or call up your realtor, pull out the map. Like, there's so much for sale. It is crazy. And the scary part, even though we have the interest rates feathering down in the right direction, it's going down, but it doesn't mean it's going to help. It mentally looks like it. Maybe even in your bank account, it looks like it. But is it going to be enough, right? Because even if you look at the 90s in Japan, it wasn't enough. They lowered the interest rates to 0 in Japan. 0!
Beginning countdown.
How does that sound? Sounds crazy. And they still could not save the Japan market, right? And Japan in the 80s was top 3 in the world. Top 3, 4 in the world, right? So then people here in Canada are the belief for some odd reason that, they say, well, people need a shelter. Yes, they need a shelter. They need somewhere to live. Obviously, it's a necessity. But if you cannot pay for it, then you cannot pay for it. You cannot own it, right? There are tents popping all over the countries. I watched a video the other day in Peterborough, which is an hour from Toronto. People have tents in a park because they cannot afford their homes, and they're sitting in a park, living in a park, and they're wondering how they're going to do it this winter and all of that stuff. But all I'm saying, guys, this is real. So what is the suggestion? Try not to to look at the market and believe that the next quarter, the next year, the prices will go up by 10%, 20%, 30%. We're going to see another sky high situation in real estate. It is not going to happen. And if you're already underwater, you will be underwater for a long time, right? For a long time. So if you can get rid of some weight so you can run a bit faster, breathe a little bit, I would suggest you do so. So I hope you got something out of this video. I know this video is maybe heavy and loaded and all of that stuff, but I just wanted you to bring you to this map. Might be even confusing, but this is just a timeline. What happened in the United States, and this is exact thing is happening to Canada as we speak. So 2025 will be very hard for most of you. Thank you all for watching. Please click like and subscribe, and see you in the next one.